Hey, everybody. Welcome to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. This is Thursday, I think, March 27th, 2025. I'm Dan Vespris. Please hit that like button as you're settling in on YouTube. And no matter how you're taking in the content, subscribe, dear Lord, to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I know not many of you are searching for new fantasy basketball podcasts in the end of March, but if there's one or two of you that are, we'd love to have you aboard long term. We have shows all off season long. And once draft season hits again, that's basically when leagues open in August, then we ramp it up to basically 2 shows a day for about 3 consecutive months, plus so much more. Today, we're going to be talking about what happened on Wednesday, and we're going to do it in... Oh, that didn't work right, did it? I set this thing up to look the right way, and now it's not doing it. Well, that's obnoxious. All right, StreamYard, you screwed me on this one. All right, we'll try, we'll go this one. Nope, that was user error. Wednesday review, here we go. The ads, there are 7 of them, and I get it. You guys are going to see the list, and you're going to be like, Dan, these are on rosters already. Yeah, a lot of them are, but I do think that in this format that we're talking about right now, we're just going to do everything that happened last night. So if I want to add context to somebody, that's why they're going to go on this list. So the first name on the board is Trent Jr., who, again, I'm not sure that he gets inside the top 100. He's number 40 over the last week while taking 12 shots a game. That's with threes at 4.3 a ball game. He's also made all 10 of his free throws. I think that's the number over that stretch. So, yeah, there's some stuff there that probably won't stick. He is a threes and steals guy only. I don't even think he's going to be taking as many free throws as he's getting right now, but he's certainly not going to make every single one of them. 4 threes is also a bit on the high side, but I mean, he can get you 3 a game in this sort of full starters minutes kind of thing. It just does kind of feel like, unless you have absolutely zero need for threes and steals, meaning like you're running away with them or you're not competitive in them at all, he belongs on rosters while we see how this thing shakes out. I do think he probably ends up more in that like 90 to 130 range, somewhere in there, depending on how warm or cold he is from the field on any given week, which might be enough. That might be enough for your team, or it might not. I truly don't know. You know your team better than I do. Make your call from that. But as long as Dame is out for, we assume, the rest of the season, he's got to be on your roster. Norman Powell is the next one on the list, and I had someone on Twitter immediately that was like, Dan, nobody dropped Norman Powell. I beg to differ. He got dropped in almost every head-to-head league that I've been a part of because he was out basically since the All-Star break. He played 1 game on March 2nd, hurt himself in a different way, and then was gone until March 16th when he came back, and he wasn't very good. His first 4 games back, he was quite bad. But he finally showed signs of waking up a little bit yesterday. I feel it's necessary to point out that with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, his shots are probably going to be more like 12 to 15 instead of 15 to 25, where they were when he was kind of the number 2, or really the number 1 scoring option on the team. Harden was more of the facilitator. So you're not going to get that top 40 norm, but I do think he's going to be a top 100 guy the rest of the way. Just efficient scoring numbers and some steals and some threes, and that should be on rosters. And again, he got dropped in a bunch of spots. I know he's still in the 80s overall, but there were a lot of leagues where he was just like on a team that got eliminated from fantasy playoffs, and so there was no point in messing with him anyway. But teams that were fighting in the playoffs, or still are, he's a free agent in a lot of those spots. Third name on the list is Aaron Nesmith, who listen, I know that on this show I've sort of bounced back and forth on him between calling him a full ad versus a schedule play. And he probably, in the end, kind of sits right on the borderline between those two things. Because lately, he's been hitting a lot of threes, and his percentages have been very, very good. And so over the last, hell, you could even call it a month, he's sitting right around the edge of the top 100. He's like number 94 over the last month. But his stats don't blow you away. And the reason they don't blow you away is because he's just sort of fine in a bunch of stuff. He's at 15 points, which is pretty good. It's fine. 2.8 threes, that's pretty good. 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, not really. Less than a steal, 0.3 blocks. Like, none of this stuff really jumps off the page. But he's shooting 53% on 11 shots a game and 88 at the free throw line on not many foul shots. So he's just been unbelievably consistently efficient for a month and counting, basically now for Aaron. So, yeah, you could stick him on your roster. You know, his minutes are not guaranteed. We know Rick Carlisle. He's going to mix and match depending on what actually works on a given night. And like last night, for instance, Nesmith only played 21 minutes. 22, 24, 21, his last 3 in a row. His minutes are going the wrong way, even while it still seems like he's kind of playing relatively well. I think he belongs on rosters because you can do a lot with an efficient guy who gets you some points, threes, and steals, but just know that nothing in life is guaranteed. But you know what is guaranteed? How awesome BetOnline is. That's a guarantee. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on March Madness. Even if your bracket busted, who cares? BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with a free Sweet 16. That's hard for me to say. Free Sweet 16 bracket with a $50,000 split prize and live betting on every remaining tournament game. Yes, you can bet on them as they go, from every Cinderella story in March Madness to hat trick across the NHL. And a happy opening day, everybody. This is a holiday for me. Baseball starts today. I don't play fantasy baseball, really, at least not competitively, but I love watching the damn sport. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more on every game, every play, and every win. They have the largest selection of odds on every game, sport, whatever. They have an online casino if you're into that sort of thing. And that's why BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. Our buddies, so cool. BetOnline, the game starts here. Third name on the list is a first-timer since we moved into this new format of game recap show, and that's Rui Hachimura. And it wasn't because he had a better shooting game, which certainly didn't hurt him going 4 for 5 from the field. It was because his minutes got up to 28. And we saw it before he got hurt and before LeBron got hurt. In this new-look Lakers situation, Rui has been we just talked about efficiency with Aaron Nesmith. Rui Hachimura has been that plus some other stuff. Actually, they're kind of similar in what they do. Hachimura, not as many steals, maybe get you a little bit more in the rebounding department. That's where he has the leg up on Nesmith. I know he didn't take that many shots, and I realized that with all 3 of the main dudes in there, Rui's going to be kind of like the extra guy. But you got to look at the games before everybody was hurt for 3 weeks. Rui was playing full starters minutes, and the Lakers were running a lot of like 5 big wing lineups, or like 4 of them plus Austin Reeves. It's why Jackson Hayes was playable when Rui Hachimura went down. They kind of had no choice. Rui is not really a lob threat, but he does something to the defense that the Lakers really like, which is that he's a multi-level scorer. He can score around the rim. He's got a mid-range game. He can knock down a 3. And that's really useful when you're running 5 out, which is basically what the Lakers do when Hayes isn't on the floor. And that's why he was getting a dozen shots a game before he got hurt, and he's making 6 or 7 of them because he's wide damn open. Dude doesn't ever have to take a contested shot, ever. Never. Again, not with Luka, LeBron, and AD and Austin Reeves setting him up. AR, not AD. AD's on the Mavs. No, he's not going to shoot like 65%, but it does feel like 50 plus is honestly like pretty straightforward for him. We just got to get him back up over 10 shots a game, and I think he's on his way there, so I'm going to put him on the ads board so that we get out in front of it a little bit. This is also an easy call. Justin Edwards is just dominating right now. He and Quentin Grimes are the biggest part of the Philadelphia offense while they're in full mega tanking mode. Edwards had 19 and 10 with 5 steals yesterday, and he's been a top 50 guy despite missing a crap ton of foul shots over the last week or two. Belongs on every roster. No ifs, ands, or buts about it because they're just going to play him 36 minutes a night while racking up losses. Make it so, I say. Make it so on Justin Edwards. I didn't put Quentin Grimes on the ads board because I assume he's been on your roster for a month and a half at this point. Adem Bona I put on the ads board because I figured he would start to, I don't say ramp up, but like at least split the minutes at center with Guerschon Yabusele because Yabusele is a much more skilled offensive player, but he's not a center. What is Yabusele listed at? Whatever he's listed at, he's probably 2 inches shorter than that. He's listed at 6'8". He's probably 6'6", playing center. Doesn't work that great. He does have 8 rebounds because he gets a lot of center minutes. Bona, 6 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks. You're mostly going for boards, steals, blocks, and field goal percent with him. And I like it. I think Bona, if he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really good source of center category stuff the rest of the way. And I also put Yabusele on this board because if he's going to play 27 minutes-ish and he's going to be a part of the offense because there's nobody out there that's really any good for Philly, at least, compared to the rest of the NBA, compared to normal people. They're all superhuman. But Yabusele at 21 and 8 with 3 threes. He's going to be a center that can get you threes and boards, and he might bumble into a steal every once in a while. I think the percentages will be okay, if not great. And that's why I would lean towards calling Yabusele a pickup as well. I was informed, by the way, that when I talk about taking a commercial break on these shows, that oftentimes YouTube doesn't insert it, but Spotify and iTunes will. So rather than saying, here comes a commercial break, I'm just going to take like a deep breath in the middle of the show and hope that YouTube figures it out. So here's your deep breath. Did it figure it out? You guys can tell me later. Please remember to subscribe as you're listening to the show. If you didn't do it when I told you right at the outset, this would be a perfectly good time to do it in the middle of the program. As again, we kind of speed through these shows. I'll take time on the players that I think need it. But, we're at a point in the season now where we don't need to cover everything. You guys don't need me to talk about every single player. I'm going to focus on the guys that I think are fantasy relevant. So here's your very close list. I should click the button so you guys can see everything here. The very close list: Ryan Dunn, Orlando Robinson, Andrew Nembhard, and Tristan Vukcevic. So Dunn, and you guys have heard me talk about him a few times. I keep going back and forth, and yesterday was not a particularly impressive game. Phoenix got beyond manhandled by the Celtics. They lost by 30 points. Dunn played only 22 minutes, but then, a lot of guys got 10 to 12 minutes that might normally have not played at all. Ryan had 6 points. Yuck. 2 threes. Okay. 5 boards. All right. 3 steals in yesterday's game, but he missed both free throws and went 2 for 9 from the field. That's upsetting, but it also, I don't think that this is going to be a thing that continues. He's been an awful foul shooter so far this year. He's actually at 43%, but luckily he never takes any, because that's obviously not a sustainable number. The upshot on Dunn is that in these games lately where he's played closer to 30 minutes, which there have been 3-4 of them-ish over the last 2 weeks, he's put up some really intriguing fantasy lines. 12 points, 9 boards with a couple of threes on good field goal percent, 16-5 with a steal and a block, 17-6 with a block, 16-5-3 with 4 steals. I don't think he's going to be inside the top 100. Issues with field goal percent, issues with free throw, just not, frankly, having enough usage on a night-to-night basis. But I do think that if you're hunting for boards, steals, blocks, and threes, he's a really interesting category-specific streamer who's just really, really bad at all the stuff I didn't just list off. Orlando Robinson is back on the will we or won't we board here because Colin Castleton was not a part of Toronto's last ball game. My issue with Robinson is that the minutes really aren't guaranteed at all. Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett were the Raptors that did play in the Raptors game yesterday. Would Robinson have played more if it wasn't a 30-point blowout? I honestly don't know. I don't think anybody can know. It's like, oh yeah, we would have gone back to Robinson if it was a tight ball game and we had to win it. If he was getting 30 minutes every game, he's going to get you up around 9-10 rebounds. The problem is 23, 19, and 24 minutes in his last 3 games. 6, 7, and then 12. So the rebounding's still been pretty good, but that averages out to about 8 and change. Which is fine, but not enough to overcome the lack of everything else. He's not a big steals or blocks guy. He'll get you some when he's out there a really long time, but not many. He's an okay passing big man, but again, he's got to be out there for 30-ish minutes if you want him to get 2 to 3 assists per ball game instead of 1 to 2. Doesn't score a ton when there are other usage guys out there. He's got a couple of good scoring games mixed in, but you're going to probably expect more like 10 to 12. So it's just not quite enough all the way across the board. But if you're hunting rebounds, and really rebounds only, he's a pretty good stream right now. Andrew Nembhard is back on the board because he's a guy that runs hot and cold. And he's basically, we used to have on our weekly show, we used to have that, what do you call it? We used to have that section, that category of stream while hot guys. I don't know if you guys remember that part. Nembhard is probably in that now. For a long time, I wasn't sure where to categorize him because he's number 165 on the season. That's not startable every day. He's number 158 over the last month. So month to month, he's quite consistent. Week to week, he's very much not. Last 2 weeks, he's number 240. Last 1 week, he's number 204 because the turnovers have been super high. He's not really doing much. And then all of a sudden, yesterday against the Lakers, he went for 16, 7, and 3 with a steal and a three-pointer on good percentages. If that wakes him up, and it may or may not, because he had one other good game over the last couple of weeks and it didn't wake him up, then we move on it. And obviously, he's a guy you play when Tyrese Halliburton is out. But you have to go back to, I think it was like late January, early February to find the last time that Nembhard went on like a sustained, solid value run where he was racking up steals. He was getting a couple of steals almost every game. He was 5 assists every game. He was in double-digit scoring every game. The free throws and the field goals were good every game. And then he went through like a month-long slump, and that's why we're talking about, okay, over the last month, 160, 200 range. If you need assists, he makes sense. If you need steals, he makes sense. If you're relying on good field goal free throw every day or threes or points or really anything else, it's a little bit of a reach. There's something in my apartment that keeps blooping on, you guys know that on the other side of this draft board behind me is just my bedroom. There's something on my wife's side of the room that keeps going, ba-ding. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but if it happens all day, it's going to be like water torture. I'm going to start needing to hear it. Tristan Vukcevic is the last name on the board. I wish I knew exactly what days he was going to get his mid-20s in minutes. It seems like it's going to be most games where he's getting around 20 some odd minutes, but then there was that one back-to-back in there where he played 4. And the Wizards have a back-to-back today against Indiana. Is he going to play 4 again? I certainly hope not. Because when he's played 20-plus minutes lately, 15, 17, 17, 17, 11, 17, very consistent fellow in the scoring department. 7, 8, 5, 6, 4, 6 in rebounding. Pretty consistent there, too. He has, again, if we eliminate the 4-minute game, he has 6 steals over those 6 games. If we eliminate the 4-minute game, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks over those 6 games. Again, eliminating the 4-minute game, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 3-pointers over those 6 games. So again, that game obviously happened, so you have to count it when you're looking at his stats in aggregate over the last couple of weeks. But if you eliminate that weird 4-minute game, and if we could just figure out the pattern here, you're talking about a guy averaging about 15, 6, and 2 with a steal and 1.5 blocks and exactly 2 3-pointers a game on low turnovers, over 50% shooting, and over 70% at the free throw line, which makes me think he should probably be rostered. But if you're using against a games cap and you accidentally drop him in there on a 4-minute night, your guys are going to come for me with pitchforks. And you should, because that would have been the worst decision ever. So they're on a back-to-back right now. Try to get a feel for what's going on there. If you want to skip the back-to-back on Vukcevic, I'd be totally fine with that and then pick him up for their next one Saturday. They host Brooklyn on Saturday. I assume it'll be a 20-some-odd minute game there for him because there's not a back-to-back involved. Maybe he does play 20-some-odd minutes tonight. I just don't know. But last time they ran Richaun Holmes out there for 15, 18 minutes, something like that, and they gave Vukcevic pretty much the entire game off, other than garbage time. Shrug emoji. So I think you probably add him in games cap spots. I think you maybe hold off tonight and then play him on Friday and in all non-back-to-back scenarios. But again, lately, really nice source of threes, field goal percent, boards, steals, and blocks. And again, the only reason he's not on the ads board for me on this show is because I don't know when the hell he's going to play 4 minutes. The watch list is Kevin Porter Jr. and Jonathan Mogbo. We'll start with Mogbo on that one. He played 24 minutes at 16, 7, and 5. If Toronto ever goes into full plug pull mode and he gets 27, 28, 29 minutes a game, that's when I would make the move. Right now, he's just a little bit too far away, not quite enough playing time. And then Kevin Porter Jr. slid into the starting lineup yesterday. I believe a lot of that had to do with Giannis being out. So they went with Porter instead of Ryan Rollins. They wanted to get a little bit more creating in the first unit. I believe that when Giannis comes back, you'll see Rollins pop into the starting five, and they'll move KPJ back to the second unit to do more shot creating there. But we'll see. That's why he's not higher up. Also, terrible field goal percent, bad free throw, bad turnovers guy historically, unless something changed dramatically year over year. So more of a points league type of option anyway. And I guess in points leagues, you could probably take a look at Porter Jr. with Dame out for most of the season. I would not add him in 9 category formats. That one's, yeah, you'd have to pay me to put him on my fantasy team right now. And permission to drop Russell Westbrook. Denver Nuggets finally got fully healthy again yesterday. Jokic is back. He's the last and biggest, most important piece of the puzzle there. Jamal Murray was back a couple days before. Aaron Gordon played only 18 minutes, but he played. Peyton Watson played better, so he got the lion's share. But that pushes Westbrook back down to that low to mid 20s in minutes. And more importantly, he's just not going to have as much to do because the Nuggets have all of their creators back, so they're not going to need Russ. And then his bad efficiency stuff is going to be much more relevant than the good counting stat stuff. So you could dump Russ. You could play him probably on Nuggets back-to-backs. I'm assuming that Aaron Gordon probably sits those out. I don't think that anybody else will because they're still fighting for playoff seeding. But Denver doesn't have a back-to-back until next week. So I think you can probably dump Russ at least until then, maybe farther. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We're going to keep this one under 25 minutes. Pretty amazing. But, hey, that's the magic of the tail end of the season because, sometimes you'll get these days where there's only a little bit of weird stuff that goes down. And hell, it was a 6-game card. We're going to be back in a couple of hours with a specialty show. I haven't decided which one I want to do today, but I'm leaning towards the worst pick in each of the first 8 to 10 rounds, just so we can all laugh at ourselves. And yes, a couple of them were players that I was eyeballing. This is not going to spare my feelings. I'm not that kind of analyst. Yes, we're going to take a victory lap when we get things right. And we are also going to, stand out in the cold in our underwear when we get things wrong. I'm Dan Vespers for Old Man Squad. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe on the way out. And again, really Spotify, because that's the easiest one. Drop a 5-star review if you guys have been listening for any few minutes, days, weeks, whatever. It's not that important right now because nobody's searching for fantasy shows. 4 of you every day. But come August, when leagues open and people are like, ooh, I wonder who the fantasy people are. It'd be nice if we had a crap ton of reviews so that we pop up near the top. And then I can continue to try at least to do everything many hours every week of random fantasy crap entirely for free. We can subsist on advertising as long as we keep growing. Again, thanks, guys. Appreciate you all. See you in a couple hours. I'm Dan for Old Man Squad. Adios.